make this
And
any
we're going to
bigger? Or I
query.
can...
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yes. Brilliant. I actually really like that.
Excellent.
No, that's terrific. I just absolutely love this. Hello, hello. Welcome to Over Architected with Nick and Holly. And together, we're experts at data and AI, but separately, not so much.
This is the podcast where we talk about new features in Databricks and then try to shoehorn them into one architecture to see if it's actually realistic. Here's the latest releases from Databricks for February 2025. And as our resident AI expert, Nick, do you want to kick us off with a new AI feature?
Yes, absolutely. So this feature is, I think it's kind of one of the most interesting features in the LLM space. And what it is the Python execution tool. And so what the Python execution tool allows you to do is to have the LLM generate code for you and execute it in an isolated environment, all hands off. So kind of when you would want to use this really is, for instance, if you had a sum tool, so you attach a tool to an LLM that does the sum, that's great.
Sorry
for
to jump in. Like a tool is the thing that you get your like LLM to tap out to so that you're like, because the LLMs aren't great at everything. There's some things that they kind of suck at. And so the idea of tools is that it's something else that can help the model do something in a better way. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So the LLM predicts tokens. That's all it does. So although it looks like it has maybe capability to do arithmetic, it actually doesn't. So if you want really consistent results, you do need to jump out of the LLM, call a tool, and get a result from something that you can actually depend on. So actually, an example would be like the sum tool. You jump out of the LLM, you go calculate 2 plus 2, it returns 4, and then the LLM sees, oh, it's 4, and then it repeats the answer back to you in its, whatever the kind of semantics around your question happened to be. The limitations of something like the sum tool is that you can't use it for anything else. So this Python execution tool is kind of for arbitrary things. So if the LLM will go and figure out, I can achieve this by running 2 plus 2 in Python. So let me tell Python to print out the results of 2 plus 2, and then I'll have it. And the LLM does it for you. So suddenly you can do basically arbitrary things, and the LLM really drives it. Extremely powerful feature. The key thing here is that it's now built in to Unity Catalog. So before you'd have to create this Python tool yourself and figure everything out, stitch it all together. But now it's just part of Unity Catalog. So it's just available in the system namespace, system.ai. And you'll just see it right there, Python exec.
The challenge here is, or what we've challenged ourselves to do, is to take these features and then put them into one architecture diagram to see if we could kind of shoehorn in something that's mildly realistic and see if it makes sense. So Nick has explained the AI feature, and now I, as the non-AI person, I'm going to try and implement it. So we have Excalibur here open so that we can start doing some diagrams. So just to check my understanding, like we have, like, I understand kind of what it does. I don't necessarily understand how it works in the whole like scheme of things. So like, is it part of the agent? Does it sit as part of like the agent framework? And then so you've got like, I don't know, you've got your LLM here, and then it's going to tap out, and tools sit in Unity Catalog, right? So let's say that this is Unity Catalog. And then within Unity Catalog, we also have the tools. Like, is that roughly right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's totally right. The one, I would just take that UC box, the Unity Catalog and Tools box, and just take it out of agent. Since it is,
okay.
I mean, Unity Catalog, of course, is kind of the central catalog and governance tool for the entire platform. So yeah, I would just put it like this.
Okay, I see. We're not putting all of Unity Catalog within our agent. Okay, fine.
Maybe one day.
The most jacked version of metadata driven you could imagine. And then so that kind of reads from here, and then the tools kind of return something.
Yes.
And then it goes off into do our other LLM things. All right then.
Pretty good, pretty straightforward. All right. I love our architecture.
Perfect. It's the best thing I've ever seen. Okay, I think it's time for a data engineering feature. And I'm super excited at the moment about Lakehouse Federation. Now, this used to be called Query Federation. It has been around for a while. The idea is that you can connect Databricks to other data sources. You can query them and you can bring back the data. And so you've been able to connect to things like MySQL for a while now, but hot off the press, you can now connect to Oracle and Teradata. These are absolute monsters of kind of the big data world. This is where a lot of data is sitting. And the idea is that you can connect to it through Unity Catalog. So you can govern it like you would any other table in terms of like who can get access and who's got read access and all of that kind of stuff. But then you can just query it like it's any other table. And for me, the real power here is that like as an admin, you can set up this particular connection, and then anyone, if you want it to be anyone, can then read this data as if it's like another table in your in Unity Catalog. And so that's kind of, you don't have to kind of then worry about kind of like overnight replications or anything like that. And, you can have it direct query that if you want. And with some of these as well, you also get a few performance improvements as well. So there are some things where, you'll get faster scans, you get faster filters, things that will cache results for you as well. So that if you read something in once and you read it again, like if it's cached in your compute, then it'll read from the cache as well. So there's a few kind of performance improvement things here as well.
Does the execution of the query happen in Databricks, or it happens elsewhere, right? It happens on the end database?
Yeah, so there is a bit of load on both sides. So you will be using, a warehouse or a serverless warehouse or cluster maybe to be able to query the data. There is a bit of load on the other side to be able to do this. I think of it like a JDBC connection. So there is kind of work happening on both sides in the same way that you also might get a bit of, execution planning, optimization from Spark on a JDBC query. You get something kind of similar for Lakehouse Federation as well.
So what you're saying is you should absolutely use the limit clause.
Yeah, so
you don't want me writing select all from transactions.
This is true, but I think as part of a Databricks thing, like it secretly puts limit in there anyway. So because it only supports 10,000 records, so you don't have to worry too much about that. If you are worried about that, there are actually two ways that you can solve this. You can either set up a materialized view, and that'll go through regularly and it'll make a view. So if you wanted that table to be updated every hour and you want to only have that one kind of connection to the data, you could, set up that in Unity Catalog and then make a materialized view on top. And then that's how everyone else accesses it. Or you could treat it like any other data source and have it as an append-only table. It's forever growing, and you can put in a timestamp there. And so that's how you'd go through and you can audit what the latest version is. And then if you wanted, you could then treat it like any other kind of streaming source or any other kind of append-only data source that you'd have as well.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
I'm just trying to, I think it makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, I've used Query Federation before, and now we have Oracle and Teradata. Does Oracle and Teradata become part of our architecture then?
Yeah, it could do.
Let's just do it. What's that is? Oracle, Teradata?
One
I
R.
hope I spelled that right. 1R?
Yeah.
No, I'm a fraud. Okay, so we have Oracle and Teradata.
Who's a Teradata expert anymore. Sorry.
Okay, so we have this data, and we can query it, federated. I think we could do something like this. So the agent has this tool, right? This arbitrary Python execution tool. So we could actually, I'm just going to draw a single line and say that this can query this via the tool. So now our agent is super smart, and I'm going to have to select all this individually and manually. Oh no. Okay, forgive me. I will just simply not do that. So I'll just say that this tool goes here, actually. So the tool can also generate code that goes and queries Oracle and Teradata on our behalf. And then Oracle, and I think, so this is the tool call, let's just call it.
Yeah, so it's going to write some SQL. What?
Yeah. But then at the same time, I mean, I don't know if you want me to add this, but I think we should mention it. So but the reference to Oracle and Teradata lives in UC, right?
So we're saying to our agent, go find me some data. This is in Unity Catalog. Our tool's going to go and have a look through Unity Catalog, see what it can query, go and query that, and maybe do like a select star from our particular, new sources that we've got here. And maybe it could filter on a particular customer that you're looking for. So maybe it's like search through this, the different data sources that I have and try and find Holly Smith.
Perfect.
I'll find myself in my data.
Yeah. I don't know.
Despite all my terrible credit card decisions
I
I
heard
made.
you actually have to travel across the planet to find yourself sometimes. So
I can do with my data. It'll be stored in so many different data source store. Okay then. And then the response, where does the response go? Does that go back to the
um
agent or does it go?
yeah, it does go back to the agent. Yes. Well, I mean, the tool executes um in this like isolated environment. It will go through the data and then it will return that result to like the tool because the tool is a function. And then the tool also has like a return statement, which goes back to the LLM. So I think this is fine. No
All
more
right then.
lines are necessary.
All right then. Awesome. So that's
Yeah.
my big data engineering feature for this month. Do you want to tell me about another AI feature?
Yes, another AI feature. So the next one that I'm really excited about is, I mean, it's kind of it's a small addition, but I think it's an important addition. So we have this feature called AI Gateway. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Okay, great. The AI Gateway allows you to do things like payload logging and PI filtering and things like this. It's basically a proxy that sits in between all your LLM calls and several external models. So you can connect like your OpenAI API through there, your Anthropic API, and basically anything you want. And one of the limitations up until now was that it actually didn't support the foundation models. So you couldn't apply it directly through the foundation models that have provision throughput. So our foundation models are like, our Llama like offering, Mistral offering, things like this. Typically, if you want to deploy in production and have a reliant endpoint, you want to deploy those in a dedicated way, and that's called provision throughput. And so now AI Gateway, this is like this new subtle new part, is that AI Gateway now supports those provision throughput endpoints.
Awesome.
I think small, but really great, really unlocks anybody who wanted to use the foundation models.
Yeah, so my understanding for AI Gateway is it answers a lot of the really difficult questions around kind of like governance. How do we know that our AI is not going to say mean things to people and you can tell it what it can and can't talk about? I think you put like rate limits on there as well so that like
Yeah.
no one
hmm
person is hogging anything. So it's like a really kind of practical way to be able to deploy something. And now you can deploy something at scale because you can do it at scale where you can say like, here are the topics you're allowed to talk about and the ones that you can't talk about. And, if people are putting their national insurance number in, you can get it to kind of slap their hands away and say, no, stop it. And like the data
Yeah.
doesn't go anywhere. All right, then.
You can also split. So you have a single endpoint and you can split traffic to several different
Ah,
places.
oh, I
So
did not
so
know
it's
it did
really nice.
that. That's nice. So, in terms of this diagram, I'm a bit confused about where this would go. Because we've got our serving, and I guess the LLM AI gateway sits between the serving and the output, right?
Well, I mean, this brings up a good question. So we put LLM inside the agent. And in some sense, we could bring agent out. Agent is like it's its own construct, and then LLM will sit outside of it. And then you could put AI gateway in between agent and LLM. I think. I mean, I'm not going to say this is the best thing in the world, but I think this accurately represents kind of the flow of things.
I always thought like the agent was like the orchestrator.
Fine.
So AI gateway sits in between here and in between here. And it's the LLM that's now got provision throughput, isn't it?
Yes. So that LLM now supports
And
kind of provision throughput for our foundation models.
and so this is a foundation LLM. Yeah. Perfect. All right.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm
We can write
better.
foundation.
I'm better at this AI stuff than I thought I was. So, next thing I wanted to talk about was just I think kind of like a quality of life thing. So maybe similar to what the AI gateway was, but for data engineering, which is vacuum light. So for those of us who've been doing kind of Delta stuff for a while, you can end up with lots of small files that aren't used anymore. When you do things like optimize, it takes all those small files, it combines them, it compacts them, and it doesn't do it in a way where it like literally kind of opens those files and then combines them. It takes those small files and then it just writes out bigger files based on what's already there. And so then all of your queries are going to be using the more optimal file sizes, but then you've got all these kind of tiny ones left lying around. Now, you've been able to use vacuum for a very long time to get rid of those ones that haven't been used in like 7 days or 30 days. But for some of you out there, the idea of doing vacuum at like the end of a pipeline fills you with absolute dread because it can take 15, 20, 30 minutes to run. and you want to get your data to where it needs to be. You don't want to have a vacuum in the middle of your pipeline, but you know it's got to be run. But if you don't run it, then you'll get a really bad performance. Some of you, it's been a bit of an balancing act. Vacuum Light has now been bought in, whereas previously Vacuum did a very thorough job of going through not just old files, but like directories, clearing up empty ones of those, arbitrary files that might be there from kind of old Delta logs. And that was, the long tail of things were kind of taking the longest time. So Vacuum Light has now been bought in. It uses the Delta log to be able to kind of whiz through all those files that aren't needed anymore. And it will be, I don't want to say like a halfway house, but it's kind of, it will be a good enough interim solution for those of you who have been spending a long time waiting around for Vacuum.
Okay.
So Nick, where would you like to put it in our architecture diagram?
Well, you said it's a Delta thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, now that we've got AI Gateway in here, it's got like payload logging, hasn't it? It's not system tables. What's it called?
It does. Hey,
Yeah.
you're right. It does. I mean, let's do that. That makes sense. I have to admit, it doesn't make sense in the sense that, no, it does. See, this is my brain is, I'm like the reasoning LLM where I'm bouncing back and forth, trying to figure out the answer. Because like the payload logging is like a append only kind of situation.
Yeah. No, I think it works because if we've got provision,
eventually you would optimize it and then you'd want to run Vacuum on it, perhaps. Okay, I like it. I'm going to do that.
So if you've got a workspace that's got predictive optimization running on it, some of these things are going to be optimized anyway. I guess trying to think tangentially how this might occur in real life, and maybe if you had very uneven traffic to your LLM, maybe you've got like a peak time for 1 hour a day, and then you've got kind of like other trickles of the data coming through, and so maybe the logs are making. I don't know. I'm really swinging at straws here.
Is it light? Is this correct? Is this
yes, it's light, as in like
this?
Light soda rather than a light bulb. Yes. There we go. So if you are using predictive optimization, this might even happen in the background for you, and it will make a decision for you on whether like this is the best thing to do. Now, again, this depends on kind of huge quantities of data that I think for most people are like, I don't even notice how long a vacuum takes to run, and like maybe this isn't for you. But for some of you, this is going to be a real nice way to keep on top of, the number of old files, the number of stale files, without having to really interrupt the pipelines that you're running.
Nice. I mean, thank you. You basically figured this one out for me, so I appreciate it. I didn't have to do much. It was your idea to do payload logging, so thank you. Looks good. I'm liking this. I'm liking where we're going. Everything kind of makes sense. It wasn't as I thought we'd get a real Frankenstein, but this is all somewhat feasible.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. All right, what's our next AI feature that we've got?
So the next one is custom eval metrics support in the agent evaluation framework. Taking a step back, we have something called agent evaluation, which is it's part of our broader agent framework, Mosaic AI agent framework. But all these pieces of this framework are kind of modular, so you don't have to use the whole thing if you want. And so in specific, we have the evaluation framework, and this allows you to kind of in like classic ML world, like run your LLM or your agent that you define on some historical data and get some results. So you can have like LLM judges, custom judges say, well, this question and this answer look correct. That's good. They'll give you like safety scores, relevance scores, whether it's grounded. You can modify this, but this is a built-in feature, agent evaluation, that does all this for you. Now, the new part that I was playing around with, I was doing this for BrickBot actually, is that we now support custom metrics. It's a great feature. It should exist, so I'm not going to be like, oh my god, this is the most insane thing ever. But I'm really glad it does exist now. And so a custom metric essentially allows you to define, basically what it says, you can define any metric you want on your evaluation set. So you have like a bunch of questions, a bunch of responses, and you want to evaluate, maybe give them a pass or fail score based on some kind of criteria. So you create this new function, you call it, my custom metric. You write whatever evaluation you want to do within that metric, and then you return a pass or fail, and you attach this custom metric to the agent evaluation when you run it, and then it kind of gives you this like pretty UI. It's like natively integrated into the entire experience. So a really great feature, a really nice feature.
So could I make it to test whether my tools are generating sensible code. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
ooh, like, is this a
I
valid
would
tool?
I would put it actually on the agent.
Oh, but then, yeah, because like this confuses me because like we don't have anything going back from here. Oh, hang on. What if would you object if I slightly rehash this and like had, because you said the agent was like the orchestrator. So if I just put this as like agent framework, because that's also doing like some of the AI stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
And then
Sure.
that goes up here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay then. And then this could give us like a um is it good SQL? Does it SQL good? And that'll give us a binary. And it was a yes or a no, wasn't it?
In this case, yes, but you could, so yeah, you can, I think, do numerical metrics if you want.
Okay.
You can do, I think you can do like yes or no if you wanted to like pretty print in the UI as a yes or a no. Or you can just return true or false. And this is actually like a really good example. For instance, we could hit the point of why this is particularly useful and why LLM judges are reasonable. Is that, for instance, you could create an agent that uses like a very small LLM that's less capable, generally speaking, and then the agent that is doing the evaluation on that model could be a much stronger model. So you could have like the best model evaluating the results of a much smaller model, and then you could be tuning what you're defining in your agent framework. So that's why, I mean, that's kind of principally why something like agent evaluation or LLM judges is really powerful.
Okay. Oh, so if you wanted to make like the smallest model possible because of like inference costs, I hear it's expensive because we've got this provision throughput and we want to have like the smallest, fastest model possible. We could have a much more powerful model evaluating it and saying like, yes or no, this is good or this is not so good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, then. Good. I like it. I like it. The next one that I want to talk about, again, kind of in this theme of like, if you have this pain, it's going to really help you, but for everyone else, it's going to completely pass you by. And that is collations. So, like, think about the word collate. It's kind of like to bring stuff together. Like, you might collate leaflets on something. I don't know.
Okay.
But the idea is it's about text standards. And if you have ever been in that kind of UTF-8 hell, you know what I'm talking about. So if you have a name that's got like an accent in it, like an ear cute in it, if you don't use the Latin alphabet, that makes things really difficult for you. So, you know, if you have text that is in like Greek or Cyrillic or, you know, Arabic, like text processing suddenly becomes absolute hell. And particularly when it comes to things like sorting. So deciding kind of what order the letters should be in if you're trying to sort something kind of alphabetically.
Oh,
Depending on the kind of
okay.
alphabet that you have, you might have inconsistent ways of ordering the alphabet. Like if I ask you to say the alphabet, but then if I asked you, where does the EQ go in the alphabet? Like, would you put it consistently the same place? And, you know, not every single language does that. And so the idea with collations is that you can handle the sorting of a lot of this text in a much better way. And not only can you kind of supply your own rules on how this is done, but you can also specify things like how uppercase and lowercase is then handled. So for those of you who feel this pain, we hear you. This is going to make a huge amount of difference. For those of you who have never come across this, probably never will, for the rest of your careers.
Yeah, I probably take. I think when you first started, I didn't really understand, but when you said the sorting aspect of it, it makes total sense. So it's like the letters, the encoding of the letters in the first place is already ordered. That's how you can sort by letter because they're numerically ordered. But now I can see that the letter E with an accent does not follow the letter E in the encodings. So, brilliant. Makes total sense. I'm
Yes.
surprised this didn't exist before.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
beforehand you'd have to like hand crank it, and it's really, really horrible.
okay, cool. Well, that is a huge quality of life feature.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting for all the folks out there who have experienced this. Okay.
Right. So now I
Is that
challenge
so
you
now?
to put
Yeah.
this problem that you've never come across before onto our diagram.
Oh dear. Yeah, this problem I don't have, never come across before. Well, wait. It's a SQL feature. Okay.
Yes, yes. Not exclusively, but very heavily, yes.
Okay, got it. Oh, not exclusive. So it's like available in like PySpark type of thing. So like our other APIs.
Yeah, so it's kind of an odd one. So I think it's so sorry, it is for Spark and it's also for Delta as well. That it's available. There is SQL, but I've seen other examples that are kind of like a bit bash shaped, so that if you want to,
Okay.
yeah, so if you need to do something before you get into kind of Python, then
Oh, well, would it work on a federated call?
yeah, don't see why not, because it's applying the collation and then it would be sorting by it. So, oh,
Okay.
okay, I see.
Because, and I think this actually ties back to the questions we had earlier about, federated queries and like where they run. Uh, of course, a lot of it happens on the destination, but this is probably an example of where like, hey, maybe Oracle or whatever, I don't know, but maybe whatever you're federating doesn't support. So that's why I'm curious if it would work by retrieving the data and then already sorting it, quote, locally on the Databricks platform.
Yeah. So yeah, if we were searching for names, so instead of trying to find Holly, we were trying to find. Sorry, the only non-Latin name that I can think of is Ethelred, which is very old-fashioned. It's spelled with one of those.
That sounds very specific, Holly. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. It's spelled with like the letter that's like an A and an E smushed together.
Yeah.
It starts with
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that before. I have no idea what that's called. Okay. So how do you spell collate? COLL?
Yeah, collate, yes.
Collate. I really don't know how to draw this. I mean, we could just put it here and be like, it
You could have
supports it.
the arrow back going via a collate. So I don't know where the
Oh,
result goes, but
okay. Yeah. That and do a nice little curve. And then, as you can see, super skilled.
excellent. So your
And
Excalibur skills
do
really, really shine here.
really, really shining. Okay, cool.
All right, perfect. And
Yeah.
then we can make our custom eval test how well it's sorted Ethelred.
Actually, yes. Yeah, I'm actually, now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure at all that this is how it would work, but that's okay. We're doing
It's
our
fine.
best.
It's fine. We are, and we tried. That's the only thing that matters.
Okay.
Um,
So is that it, or do you have something else?
I think we've got a few more ALA ones.
Oh yeah, it's my turn. Yes. Okay. So the last AI feature that I wanted to highlight actually. So we have a collection of functions that we support, kind of like in the SQL editor, just on the Databricks platform across several different surface area. These AI functions. So it's like AI underscore query,
Ugh.
and there's a lot of other custom ones. And what they do is they allow you to easily specify an endpoint. So that endpoint could be an existing foundation model, so something that's hosted out of the box by us. It could be the endpoint name of an agent, so that could apply here. And then an actual query that you want to send to it. So it's a really easy way to query some kind of LM or agent directly from a SQL-like world. So for instance, like select all from name and then like, by the way, map this function or map an AI query on the results of all whatever, maybe this entire row, maybe a specific column, things like that.
Okay.
So that's the actual AI query function. And the new feature in it, very useful, is that it now supports the actual format return. And so you can specify, as I believe it's like the third or fourth parameter, the schema of the response that you expect back. So if you wanted, for instance, JSON, and you wanted reliably for the LLM to produce you JSON, you can now specify, hey, for instance, when I ask you the sum of two numbers, I expect you to return key sum, and then the value should be the result. And
Rather
so,
than, thank you, what a great question. Here is the answer
yeah,
to your question. 2 + 2 = 4.
exactly that.
Right, okay.
So it's a really great feature. Basically structured outputs for your various AI endpoints, natively in kind of in the SQL surface areas and within the platform. Awesome feature, I think.
So
Very
could
necessary.
I query everything that we've got here with AI query and then make it have a special response, make it respond in a JSON?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
What's
when you
the
say everything here, you could. I
AI,
mean, it's kind of like the agent framework box basically ties everything together,
AI query? Can I make this
and
any
we're going to
bigger? Oh, I
query.
can.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Brilliant. I actually really like that.
Excellent. Right. And then no brackets and oh no, because I need to put some extra parameters in, don't I?
No, that's terrific. I just absolutely love this.
This
I need
is
to zoom out to see the whole thing.
hang on.
Uh,
So what do I need to specify like JSON output or whatever?
yeah, there's sorry, I do forget the exact parameter name, but you put your schema there in some kind of. I think you can define it as a JSON object, a string. There's a few different
Maybe
options,
like,
but
let's do a map because that takes up less words. Let's space. There we go.
okay. I don't know about map, but it does take up less work. So
Fine, 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 fine. Schema.
I think it's a format. You can just write or schema. Perfect.
Lovely. Okay. They should get me to write more of these. This is just great.
Yeah.
All
I
right
just
then.
like this. The visual is top notch. Honestly, now it looks. I mean, now it's got a creative angle, so I like it.
I'm gonna print this out and put this on my wall. All right, then. So one final data engineering thing that I wanted to mention, and I think this is really going to put the cherry on the top of what it is that we have made here. So AI/BI, it has also had some kind of quality of life improvements. So if you've got data sets that aren't being used anymore, it'll show you in the UI that you're not using it. And so that can save you some pain in kind of dependency management. You can also now use, I think it's natural language for more visualizations. I think dual access has just come in. But the real kind of thing that I think is going to take our architecture to the next level is the ability to download your results as a PDF. So now that we've got this provision throughput,
I'm in shock.
we've got this provision throughput, we've got this huge amount, we know we've got so much payload that we need to log it, we've got that vacuum light, and to make this more realistic, we need a stakeholder who demands everything resulting from this in a PDF format. Email to them.
That's brilliant. It all starts with PDFs and also ends with PDFs.
Perfect.
Okay. So I guess technically, AI/BI would apply to the actual tables. I think it also kind of is in this AI query type of thing. It just kind of applies to the whole thing, no?
So you would have to make a dashboard out of it first. Now that dashboard could be unoriginal. It could be a table. So you could have, so maybe about like the evals, you could have it on that, or the most exciting dashboard ever around payload logging, that could also work.
We could do lines that the dashboard includes the payload logging, but why stop there?
Sorry, why is our dashboard going into payload logging? Surely we're making a dashboard of this data.
What's your objection? The direction of the arrow?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought we were being a little
No,
forgiving
not
here.
violating the fundamental
I was
rules.
like, oh dear. Okay.
The architecture diagrams are left to right, but sure.
And also this.
And also that, okay.
That goes into the dashboard. And the results of the agent evaluation could be part of the dashboard.
Be part of it, yeah.
Because this is all the data you would want to see in a single dashboard.
Yes, it is the everything dashboard.
Alrighty. Okay.
This went from something being quite sensible to being absolutely crackers.
Well, it's still technically somewhat correct,
I
think.
Technically correct. The best kind of correct. Okay, then. So we have our dashboard.
Just imagine all this stuff in a PDF.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there are limits to the size of the PDF, but sure, we can just limit 100 for all of this stuff.
Okay,
and then
awesome.
we need to export it to a PDF.
Oh, I need to write that. Export to PDF.
Yeah, it is optional. You don't have to build a dashboard that exports to PDF, despite what your stakeholders might say.
This is probably the most important piece of our architecture now.
I mean, they're probably paying the bills, so, you know.
Extra large. I feel like I should wrap this whole thing in a PDF. This should all just be a PDF. All right.
All right, then. So this is the first one of these that we have done. How would you score this out of 4? 4. Okay.
Do I have to give reasoning?
It's your show. You can say what you like.
It's just my show. 10 out of 10 then. Thanks.
You would recommend one of these to everyone.
It's a 4 because I think everything we drew with maybe some slight of like edge cases kind of just basically could work. Like these things can be stitched together, like the cables fit. But I will leave the results are subject to interpretation, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like the tool to call Oracle and Teradata is probably my. Oh, if someone were to do this in real life, I would say that would probably need some rigorous testing to stop you from doing
No,
anything
no, no.
silly. Like,
You definitely want your LLM generating arbitrary code and executing it on.
yeah, I just kind of like select star from
It's like
Teradata, cross join Oracle. What's not to like?
I can see it. It's like find Holly, and then the LM is going to return drop table, and the agent
Oh,
eval is going to go like it did it.
great.
It
Perfect sequel. Love it. Okay, then.
highly relevant response.
I know this is silly, actually. You could put AI gateway in here to like block words like drop. So if your end user, instead of being like, it's like, find Nick Karpov, you could say the AI gateway prevents any, but bans the word block and the word block could not get through. Oh, sorry, drop could not get through. It's slightly less stupid now.
I don't know.
Okay.
My fear is that the tool will run before AI gateway does anything.
Oh, I
So,
see. I see.
so
Okay.
it'll go do its work, and then it'll return it, and then the gateway will be like,
Okay, then.
oh,
For
but
that, I'm
hey,
going to.
I think that's a good question. We should
Okay.
follow up on that.
All right. I think for that reason, I'm going to give this a 2, to be honest. Like, my
Two.
data engineer admin side of me is just sweating quite profusely right now.
All right. So those were definitely not all the features, right?
Yeah,
We got a
we had
lot
so
more.
many more that we had to cut.
Okay. And hold on. Okay, I'm looking at them here. There's a lot. So here's what we should do. All right, Holly, you ready? I'm going to challenge you. I know you already see what's coming. I'm going to challenge you to rapid fire say as many of the features as possible in 30 seconds because we
30
have so many
seconds.
features. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So hold on. I'm going to start a timer.
Okay.
And
I'm looking at this list. It is not small.
Okay, are you ready?
No.
Okay, too bad. All right. So, on go. Okay, take your marks.
Nah. Serverless environments, I've got a version 2, which now include a progress bar, CLI support for DAB support for Databricks apps, also Unity catalog support stuff for DABs. We've got comment on column for tables and views. Got AutoML weighted sampling for forecasting, which I quite like. You've got try
10
URL
seconds.
code. Oh god, null of zero, zero of null, uniform round string, arrow improvements for schema and to and from for schema, fine grained access
Time.
control. Am I done? Am I out of time?
Oh dear. Once you trip up, right?
Oh,
It's
awful.
game over.
Awful, awful. If you would like a much better way to see what has come out in Databricks in the last 30 days, we do have the release notes. We will link them below. They can be a little bit pickier and adventure because you've got not just the runtime updates, but you also have the platform updates, AI BI and ML, and I think Mosaic AI as well now. So we have tried to kind of pull everything together, our highlights from the last 30 days.
So thank you everybody for joining us. Holly and I had a lot of fun. Please let us know what you thought about the architecture, right, Holly? I think what did we decide? 2 out of 10?
I said 2,
Two
you
out
said
of,
4, which is 3.
so 3. We think it's a 3. If you think differently, please let us know. Please leave us a comment. And especially if you like this video, please leave a comment and a like. If you didn't, we also write blogs, so you can definitely check those out.